My name's Chris Denning and I'm a corporate and international tax partner at MHA. So today we had a mini budget statement from the Chancellor, which actually turned out to be a major fiscal event, which it probably needed to be against the backdrop of some of the external issues we're facing at the moment, with the war in Ukraine impacting energy prices, the cost of living crisis, and so on. So I want to focus on the anticipated cancellation of the corporation tax increase from 19% to 25%, which was scheduled for the 1st of April next year, which, as anticipated, has been cancelled, and the corporation tax rate will remain at 19% going forward. At the time the 25% rate was announced, the then Chancellor also introduced a super deduction for capital expenditure, which was 130% deduction for qualifying expenditure, which is now due to expire on the 31st of March 2023. It's not entirely clear what will happen to that from today's announcements, but what the Chancellor did announce today was a permanent threshold for AIA purposes, for annual investment allowance purposes, of £1 million. This is currently £1 million, but was due to fall to £200,000 in March next year, but now will remain and be permanently at a £1 million level going forward, which I think is a very positive step. So in terms of whether these measures will work, I mean, there's always been historically a continuing debate about the relationship between tax or lower taxation as opposed to tax rates, lower taxation and growth in terms of whether one actually promotes the other. And in this particular case, the Chancellor's relying on a number of economic studies that support his view and the direction of travel in this particular case. But I guess it remains to be seen whether these policies will actually encourage growth. I mean, certainly the 100% deduction on £1 million of investment, I think, should encourage growth. I mean, our current structure of capital allowances mean, or effectively mean, that if you spend 100 today, you get a deduction over the next 3, 4, 5 years. But because of the impact of inflation, you will never actually get a full economic deduction for your investment, which itself is a disincentive to invest. So certainly, if we have a £1 million worth of investment amount now, that should encourage, to the extent that there was a barrier to invest, that should encourage investment, certainly at the SME level. So I think in summary, the corporation tax changes were anticipated. The increase or the maintenance of the threshold probably wasn't anticipated, but I think is welcome in this case. And so let's see how the measures pan out going forward. And clearly, in overall terms, I think that the government's policies as set out today one might take the view that they're somewhat of a gamble, but at the end of the day, I guess a view that might be taken is, we can carry on with the direction of travel, and nothing might change, or we can try and make some significant changes, and hope that they do promote growth, and we do grow our way out of the current situation and the current crisis we're under. No doubt on the other side of the fence there'll be calls, and as I've been watching the news reports today, there will be calls and clamours for windfall tax, or for a windfall tax. But it's worth bearing in mind that we do have a windfall tax already, and having read an IMF report around the impact or the introduction of windfall taxes, I think that the tax that we have in place probably can go as far as the government can in the context of of taxing oil and gas companies. Taxes the upstream the upstream revenues or profits, if you like, so derived from the UK continental shelf. There's no mechanism to tax an energy company's global profits. So I think what the government have in place is probably as much as they can do as regards a windfall tax. I'm not sure there's much more to be done there. So some phenomenal announcements today. As I say, no doubt, people will be debating over the next few days the impact, not the next few days, or the next few months, years probably, the impact, and whether these decisions are the right decisions. But I think that remains to be seen. So I guess just to round up, clearly this is an evolving scenario. So please visit the MHA Hub for more commentary on the tax changes which have arisen from today's announcements. Thank you.